Alright, U.S. Department of Labor, Employment, Training Administration knows availability of funds and funding opportunity announcement for state apprenticeship expansion forming announced type initial funding opportunity number FOAETA 2403, catalog of federal domestic assistance number 17285, returning to tape. This will be tape number 2, we're on F, budget and budget narrative. Budget narrative will be used to evaluate the section. Please see section 4B2 for information on requirements. Budget and budget narrative do not count against the page limit requirements for the project narrative. The extent to which the proposed expenditures will address all project requirements will have the key of the personnel to have adequate time devoted to project to achieve project results. Additional requested funding is appropriate for the proposed project geographic scope. Participant outcomes program outputs up to 6 points. 2. The extent to which the budget narrative provides description of the costs associated with each line item of standard form 424A and includes cost per participant. It should also include complete description of the level of resources provided as applicable to support grant activities up to 2 points. 3. Where the totals of the standard form 424A and the budget narrative align, 2 points. 4. Attachments to the project narrative. In addition, with the project narrative, you must submit the attachments. You must clearly label all the attachments. You will exclude only the attachments listed below from the page limit. The budget and budget narrative do not count against page limit requirements for the project narrative. You must include additional materials such as resume, general letters of support. You must submit application one package because the documents received separately will be tracked separately and will not be attached to application review. Save all files described and file names up to 50 characters or fewer. Use only standard characters. File names of A to 0, capital letters, lowercase a to 0, 0 to 9, and underscore. Files names may not include special characters as of and, dash, asterisk, percentage, backslash, and pound and periods. Blank spaces as accent marks must be unique. No other attachment may have the same file name. You must use the underscore. My attached file name to separate file name. The following attachments information apply with the both base formula funding and competitive funding application. Application must be submitted. Required attachments to base formula funding option if applicable to the competitive funding option. A required attachments abstract. You must submit up to a 3-page abstract summarizing the proposed project, including but not limited to the scope of the project, proposed outcomes, emissions of the abstract will not result in the application being disqualified. Lack of required information with the abstract, however, the may impact score C3, C1 for the list of items will result in the disqualification of your application should you be selected for an award for information provided in your abstract may be published to a public-facing website as a summary of your project. Abstract must include the following: lead applicant name, lead entity type, lead applicant site and state, application type, base and formula funding, competitive funding application. 5. The project title. 6. The funding amount requested. 7. The total number of apprenticeships enrolled, the registered apprenticeship during the life of the grant, if applicable. 8. The population to be served. 9. Required partner for states, federally recognized state apprenticeship agencies, if the state apprenticeship agency is not the lead applicant. 10. Optional partners. 11. The targeted industries. 12. Targeted occupation. 13. List of the credentials to be awarded. 14. Summary of program activities. 15. Subrecipient roles. List all subrecipient roles and the roles activities that will fill on the proposed project roles should be aligned to proposed work plan. 16. Public contact information. Applicants must submit an abstract for the base formula funding option and, if applicable, with a separate abstract for the competitive funding option. Applications must be complete and submit appropriate abstract for their application. Please make note of the funding option each of the abstract before completing. 2. A letter from the governor or chief elected official. A letter from the governor must be submitted in attachment clearly labeled as governor's letter. Required content of the letter is described in section 3A. 3. A 5-year state work plan. 5-year plan must be submitted with attachment clearly labeled 5-year state work plan. See appendix A with the information 5-year work plan for the base funding option. See program activity section 4B3C1 5-year state work plan for more information on the 5-year state work plan for competitive funding option for the suggested template. See Appendix E. B. Requested attachments. Request the following attachments, but the omission will not cause to disqualify the application of the omission of the attachment. However, the will impact score unless otherwise noted. 1. Past performance document. This attachment must include both the charter of the past performance grantor verification letter if the charter is not signed by a grantor. See Section 4B3, for which applications submitted with the documentation additional instruction. The documents must upload an attachment to the application package labeled past performance. 2. Letters of commitment, memorandum of understanding. Submitted, signed, the driver, dated letters of commitment and memorandum of understanding between the applicant and the partner organization sub-grantees to propose to provide services. The support program module, the identified outcome. See Section 4B3. These letters must be uploaded as an attachment to the application package labeled letters of commitment. Encourage appropriate partnering, labor organization, labor union, joint labor management partnership. 3. Indirect cost rate agreements. If you're requesting indirect costs based on the negotiated indirect cost rate agreement approved by a federal cognizant agency, the attachment must recently approve of the agreement. For more information, see Section 4B2 and 4E1. This attachment does not impact the scoring of the application. The document must be uploaded in attachment application package labeled NICRA. 4. Financial system risk and assessment information. All applicants are requested to submit funding opportunity announcement financial system risk assessment information. Section 4B2 of the template additional instruction attachment does not impact the scoring of the application. See submission date and time and process address. Due date for the application is April 4, 2024. You must submit your application electronically with the grant gov no later than 11:59 p.m. Eastern Times on closing date. Applicants encouraged to submit the application before closing date, minimizing the risk of the late receipt. You will not review the application's receipt after 11:59 Eastern Time on the date. You will not accept applications sent by hard copy, email, telegram, or fast mail. Hard copy submission. No applications submitted in hard copy by mail or hand delivery, included overnight delivery, will be accepted for funding operation. 2. Electronic submission through Grants.gov. Application submitting application must ensure the successful submission no later than 11:59 p.m. 12 Eastern Standard Time closing date. Grants.gov will subsequently validate, and the application process can be complicated, time-consuming. Strongly advise you to initiate the process as soon as possible. Plan for the time to resolve the technical problems. No, the validation does not mean that your application has been accepted as complete or has been accepted for review by agency. Rather, the Grant.gov verifies only the submission of certain parts of the application. How to register, apply through Grants.gov. Read through the registration process carefully before registering. These steps take as long as 4 weeks to complete. At this time, should be factored into plans timing electronic submission in order to avoid unexpected delays that could result in the rejection of the application. Applicants must follow the online instruction for the registration. Grants.gov.web/grants applicant organization registration. We recommend that you prepare the information requested before beginning the registration process. Reviewing and assembling required information before beginning the registration process will alleviate last-minute searches for required information and save time. Applications submitted with the Grants.gov constitutes submission electronically signed application with a registration account for creation with Grants.gov with an e-biz point point of contact approval. Establish agency organizational representative. When an application is submitted with the Grants.gov, the name agency organizational representative who submitted the application is inserted into a signature line of application serving the electronic signature. e-biz point of contact must also authorize the individual who is able to make legally binding commitments on the behalf of your organization and authorize agency organization representative. This step is often missed and it is critical of valid submissions. B. How to submit application with the Department of Labor Review with the Grant.gov. Grant.gov, the application can apply online using Workspace. Workspace is a shared online environment with the members of the grant team simultaneous success. Each different web forms within the application for the complete Workspace overview. Refer to Grants.gov Web Grants Applicants Workspace Overview HTML for this to access. Please instructions on how to apply for the opportunities. Refer to Grants.gov Web Grants Applicant Apply for Grants HTML. When registered applications, submit application with the GrantsGov with electronic timestamp that's generated with the system. Application successfully received by GrantsGov. GrantsGov will send the authorized organizational representative email acknowledgement of the receipt with the tracking number, grant, and so many X's. With a successful transmission of application serving the proof of the timely submission, the applicant will receive the 2 email messages to provide the status of application progress for the system. The first email will contain a tracking number that will confirm the receipt of the applicant with the GrantsGov. The second email will indicate the application has either been successfully validated or has been rejected due to errors. GrantsGov will reject applicants if the applicant's registration in SAMS is expired. Only applications being successfully submitted over the deadline later if the successfully validated will be considered. It's your responsibility to ensure a timely submission when the not required applicant successfully validated before the deadline. Submission prudent with a reserved time before the deadline. In this case, this resubmit application has not been successfully validated, therefore enough time shall be allotted for submission 24 to 48 hours. If applicable, the additional time to address errors, receive validation upon resubmission, additional 2 business days after the ensuing submission. It is important to note that enough time is not allotted if the rejection notice is received after the due date of the time. Department of Labor will not consider the application. Ensure that the consideration components of the application must be saved as doc, docx, XLS, XLSX, RTF, or PDF files. If submitted in any other format, the application bears the risk that the compatibility other issues will prevent the Department of Labor considering the application. We will attempt to open the document. We will not take any additional measures in the event of the problems with opening. We strongly advise applicants to use the various tools of the documents included in the FAQ for the available applicant resources as GrantsGov, Web Grants, Applicant F, Federal Acquisition, Federal Frequently Asked Questions, Current and New Perspective of the Application View, the online tutorial, Grant Applicants, 101 in plain English of the Employment Training Administration Competitive Grants, available to Workforce GPS at Grants Application and Management Workforce GPS org. Resource 2022, May 10th, 5/10/15/23. How to apply for the grant. Receive updated information about critical issues and tips of the users. Oftentimes sensitive to updates and information available. You may subscribe to the grants updates at GrantsGov Web Grants Managed Subscription HTML. If you encounter a problem with the GrantsGov to identify and answer any other resources, contact one of the following: 1-800-518-472-66065 or 606-545-5035 to speak with the customer service representative. Email support at GrantsGov. The GrantsGov Contact Center is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but is closed on federal holidays. If you're experiencing difficulties with your submission, it's best to call the GrantsGov Support Center and get a ticket number. Late applicants will be considered applicants successfully submitted through GrantsGov no later than 11:59 Eastern Standard Time closing date and successfully validated. You can take a significant risk by waiting the last day to submit through GrantsGov. The Intergovernmental Review. This funding opportunity is not subject to Executive Order 12372, Intergovernmental Review of Federal Programs. E. Funding Restrictions. All proposed project costs must be necessary reasonably in accordance with the federal guideline. Determination of allowable costs will be made in accordance with the cost principle of the newfound Office of Management Budget, Uniform Administrative Requirements, Cost Principles, Audit Requirements, and Federal Awards. Uniform Guidance codified in Title 2, Part 200, Title 2, CFR Part 2900, Uniform Guidance of the Department of Labor specific disallowed costs for those charges to a grant. The grantor agency and its representative determined is not allowed to in accordance with the cost principles or other conditions contained in the grant. Applicants, whether successful or not, will be not entitled to the reimbursement of pre-awarded costs. Indirect costs specified uniform guidance cost principles. Indirect costs are those that are incurred with a common joint objective that cannot be readily identified with a particular final cost. Objective: the indirect cost is required if the organization operates under more than one grant or other activity of the federal assistant or not, with 2 options claim to reimburse the indirect costs. Option 1, the negotiated indirect costs RAs, the cost allocation plan is supplied by the federal cognizant agency. If you don't have a negative negotiated indirect cost RA or cost allocation plan, however, pending a negotiated indirect cost RA or cost allocation plan. In either case, true for the estimated indirect costs by the time award with the grant officer will release the funds amount to 10% over the modified total direct costs. See the Department of Labor definition below. To support their indirect costs within 90 days of the award, you are required to submit an acceptable indirect costs or cost allocation plan to the federal cognizant agency to obtain provisional indirect cost rate. See Section 4B4 for more information. Negotiated indirect costs RA submission request. Option 2, agency that does not have a current negotiated indirect, including provisional rate with exemptions, notified until 2 Part 200 414.5. F. Cost principal may elect to charge the diminutive rate of 10% over the modified total direct cost. See the Department of Labor definition below, which may be used identified indefinitely. If chosen, the methodology of one elected must be used consistently for all federal awards until such time when the non-federal entity chooses to negotiate with the rate, which non-federal entity may apply to do at any time. See Title 2 CFR 200 414F for more information on use of the diminutive rate. Modified total direct cost and definition. To avoid serious inequity of distribution and direct cost, the Department of Labor defines modified total direct costs as direct salaries and wages applicable to fringe benefits of material supply service travel up to first $25,000 each sub-award and subcontract, regardless of the period of performance of the sub-award, subcontract, sum of the award. Modified total direct costs exclude equipment and capital expenditures charged for the patient care, rental costs, tuition, remission, a scholarship, fellowship, the participant support cost, the portion of each sub-award, subcontract excess of $25,000. Intellectual property rights pursuant to the Title 2, Part 2913, to ensure the federal investment of the Department of Labor funds have been broad impact possible to encourage innovation and development of new learning material. The grantee will require the licensed public all work created with support of the grant under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license that must be licensed under the CC BY, included both new content created with the grant funds, modifications made to the pre-existing grant-owned content using grant funds. License allows subsequent use of the copy to distribute, to transmit, or adapt the copyright works required of the such users to distribute the works in a manner specified by the grantee. Notice for the other license should be affixed to the work. General information of the CC by Creative Commons BY. Please visit creativecommons.org, license BY 4.0. Instruction for marking the work with the Creative Commons BY can be found at wiki-creativecommons.org. Make your work with CC at Common Creative Commons license. Questions about the Creative Commons BY is applied with a specifically funded opportunity should be submitted with the ETA Grants Management Specialist specified in Section 7. Only work that is developed by the recipients for the whole and part of the grant is required to be licensed under the Creative Commons BY license. Pre-existing copyrighted material licensed through or purchased by grantee third parties include modifications such material remaining subject intellectual property rights grantors receive under the terms particular license and or purchase additional work created by the grant without grant funds don't fall with the Common Creative Commons BY license requirement. The purpose of the Creative Commons license requirement is to ensure that the material developed with the funds provided with the grant results in work that can be freely reused and improved by others. Purchasing a license consumable or reusable material with the grant is expected to respect all applicable federal law regulations, including those pertaining to copyright, accessibility provision, federal rehabilitation act, separate of the Creative Commons BY license, public federal government reserve the paid up, non-inclusive, irrevocable license, reproduce, publish, or otherwise use the authorized others to the use of the federal purpose to one, to copyright all products developed under the grant, including sub-award with the contract for the grant and sub-award to any rights for the copyright to the recipient, sub-recipient of the contract to purchase the ownership of the owner of the award, including but not limited to curricular of the training model of technical assistant products, any of the related materials such use that include but are not limited to right modified with the distributed of the products worldwide by any means electronically. Otherwise, grants may not use the federal funds to pay any royalty or license fee for use of the copyright work or the cost of the acquiring purchase of the copyright in a work with the department has the license or rights of the free use in such work, and the revenues generated with the selling product developed with the grant funds, including intellectual property. Department of Labor treats such revenues as program income. Such program income is added with the grant must be expected to the allowable grant activities. If applicable, the following standard, the ETA disclaimer needs to be on all products developed in and whole and part of the grant funds. This work product, it was funded by the grant awarded U.S. Department of Labor and Employment and Training Administration. The product was created with a grantor, but it does not necessarily reflect the official position of the U.S. Department of Labor. U.S. Department of Labor makes no guarantee, warranties, assurances, any kind of expressed and implied with respect to such information, including any information with links to sites, included but not limited to the accuracy of the information and its completeness, timeliness, usefulness, adequacy, continued availability, ownership of this product is copyrighted by the institution that created the credential transparency. The department wishes to ensure that the individuals employed with the educated training providers have the access to the complete and current beneficial information about the provider program, credential competency, the support with these public and federal funds. To the end of the department require the information about all credentials, including but not limited to diploma, badge, certificate, certification, apprenticeship, license degrees of all levels and types. Alright, developed or delivered through the use of the public federal funds, made publicly accessible through the use of linked open data format, support full transparent interoperability, such as through the use of the credential transparent description language specification. ETA will provide specific guidelines, technical assistance data elements included with the published open data, such information about credential provider with the credential associated competency delivery mode of the geographical coverage of the industrial industry sector of the occupation for which the credential will be developed, related assessment, relating accreditations, other quality assurance, where the appropriate costs and available outcomes, use of the grant funds for participating wages. Grant funds may not be used for directly paid wages for the apprenticeships on the job learning for the purpose of the grant award with the funding opportunity announcement, and funds will maybe used for the subsidize of the training with the education cost for the registered agency. Registered apprenticeships enrolled with the programs and can include with reimbursing employers for some of the extraordinary costs for the on-job learning for the grants award with the funding opportunity. Announcement negotiated reimbursement percentage may be as high as 50% of the participating hourly wage. However, the Department of Labor encouraged the grant recipients to negotiate lower rates with the variable rates, starting with the maximum allowable reimbursement rate and with a reducing subsidy over time. Where possible, to ensure the maximum number of the registered apprentices will be served by the project final grant recipients must develop the on-job learning contract to discuss below. With the contract process sets out the ground rules of the on-job learning with an employer instead of making the determination with the employer eligible to provide on-job learning opportunity. With the contract must include the federal required elements for the on-job learning agreement. However, state, counties, and municipalities may have additional on-the-job learning contract requirements. Contacts as outlined with the terms of the condition with the employer on-the-job learning provider agree. Provided the on-the-job learning experience with the contracts with the employer can be set up with a specific period of the time, but not needed as necessary, specifically the individual trainings to whom it apply. This allows for the employer to provide training to more than one trainee if the employer only has one position over the plan to limit the training experience to one employee. Then the contract must include the individual training and information for the grants if the must provide with the employee with a reasonable documentation skill gained with the registered apprenticeship during the training period. Should include the description of how the reimbursement level was determined for the guidance of federal required elements of the on-job learning sample templates for the other resource of the grant recipients may accept the ETA's online technical assistance related to on-the-job learning contract with the workforcegps.org following web address. ION workforcegps.org resource for 2017 1201 1119 on the job toolkit. Grant recipient technical training. Grant recipients are required to participate in all ETA training and recipient activities produced for the grant orientation, financial management reporting, performance reporting, product dissemination of the technical assistance training as appropriate during the grant period. Of these sessions may occur with the conference call with the virtual events such as webinars and personal meetings. Use of funds and supportive services of the apprenticeship of the applicant will encourage the legislative support service of the workforce and initiative WIO. Other funding and available with the funds that are not otherwise available. The grant recipients may use up to 20% of the grant funds to provide support service outlined in Section 4B3C2 32 Project Design. To individuals who are participating in grant-related apprenticeship registered apprenticeship activity that provided through this grant under the funding and opportunity announcement support services for the training apprenticeships include but are not limited to child care, long-term service support, linkage with the community services, tools, working clothing, equipment required for the training on the job, applicant fees, and other costs of the apprenticeship with the required pre-employment training with the transportation, travel to the training, work sites, housing, internet access to mental health counseling, substance abuse treatment, and other behavioral health services, reasonable accommodation and/or cost relief with a direct service professional. who provided assistance to provide persons with disabilities legal assistance, educational testing, financial counseling, needs-based payments for the emergency cash assistance. Service especially geared at the attaching and retaining unrepresented groups as the mentoring support group and the peer networking for the purpose of the funding opportunity announcement. Grant recipients may either the grant funds up to the percentage specified above the provided support with only the individuals who are participating in education and training actively provided through this grant. Though only when, one, they are unable to obtain service through the other programs, two, such services necessary that enable the individual to participate in educating training activity under the grant recipient may establish limited provision support service to provide the sub-recipient authority to establish such limited, including maximum amount of funding, maximum length of time support service to be available to the apprenticeship grants. For the recipients must assure that either the grant funds support service is consistent with their organizational established written policy on the provision support service. Additional will encourage grant recipients to identify other sources of funding for support services that include through the co-enrolling in a WIOA. Using funds incentive, the employers of applicants may use up to 20% of the grant funds to provide one-time incentive to the new employer's joint labor management organization or industry association or other partners, including multi-employer partnerships that directly fund new and expanding registered apprenticeship targeted industry in which they are serving. Although will use incentive fundings of the registered apprenticeship development and launch sustainability included registered apprenticeship programs and state apprenticeship agencies of the department. The cost related with the design startup of the registered apprenticeship program, classroom education, online training for the apprenticeship. Extraordinary costs related on the job, excluding wages for the extraordinary cost of the employer, can be calculated based on the apprenticeship wages as well as based on the training worker's time as a mentor and apprentice for the on-the-job learning. Training the trainer costs activity trainer supply for the apprenticeship consultant with the department and or curricular development. These incentives and funds must be aligned with the goals of the Funding Opportunity Act. Announcement of the applicant may have the written policy of the procedure of the play for the given the governor with the award of the incentive fund with the incentive of the provider and the funding opportunity announcement must comply with these organizational policies. Policies procedures should include with the detailed process of identification, receipt of the distribution and management of the incentive funds to ensure that the employer commitments are met. Further, grantees shall be provided with the quarterly narrative reports for the department. All recipients incentive of the funding staff for the activities related to either the incentive funds when feasible, itemized costs related to use incentive funding. F. Other submission requirements. Withdrawal of the applicants. You may withdraw an application by written notice to the grant officer at any time before the award is made. Alright, 5. Application review information.